It's, it's Rudy Giuliani with America's Mayor Live from New Hampshire, where we left the communist state of New York. Uh, and then we were in the state of Connecticut, and we just escaped all of the earthquakes. And then we got to Massachusetts, which probably had some earthquakes. And we got to New Hampshire, there were no earthquakes, which is telling me that somebody's sending us a message. The communist states are getting earthquakes. I think that's what I think. Look at California. You can't have more earthquakes than California. You want to figure out why? Now they're going to say I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm crazy. You know why? Because they don't have a sense of humor. They're not even human anymore. They're Marxist automatons. I'm Rachel Madcow. What do I say tonight? Let me see. What are the words? The most recent crime Biden has been accused of has been debunked. And then all of them say, debunk, 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 debunk. Oh, the earthquake was a surprise. Now, you should know that I had an earthquake when I was the mayor of New York in 2001. And I am one of the few people that knows that there's a fault line that goes right through New York City, comes down. If you know New York City, and a lot of travelers will understand this because you come in over the Triborough Bridge, which has been renamed, maybe the Robert Kennedy Bridge. It is okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. And when you come down the drive, okay, the fault line is about a quarter of a mile parallel to the drive. It comes down from the Bronx. It actually comes down from the mainland United States. Remember, aside from the Bronx, New York City is all islands. Only one part of New York City is connected to the mainland of the United States, and that's the Bronx. That's the place people are leaving the most because of Democrats. So you come down, fault line comes down that way, goes right past Gracie Mansion, which is where I used to live, and then it goes out over the East River into Queens. And it can do a lot of damage. Just the last one actually was 2010 when Bloomberg was mad. It was worse. But that got me to study the whole thing. I went on television and explained it. In this particular case, Mayor Adams took an hour and a half to get on television. His mayor's emergency management unit, which I take great pride in because I started it, took an hour to get on. And if it wasn't for Curtis Sliwa on WABC radio, nobody would have known what was going on. Hochul was going on. Hochul, the first time she appeared on television, this is what she looked like. Earthquake. They have earthquakes in New York? Holy shit. Here's the thing wrong with them, in addition to being Marxists. They're incompetent. They don't know how to run a government because they have their head filled with all kinds of crazy, freaking silly ideas. So for an hour to an hour and a half, New Yorkers didn't know what was going on unless they happened to get on a station that had an intelligent, experienced reporter like WABC put on Curtis, because Curtis has been through 5 earthquakes, including 2 in California. I've been through 4, including 2 in California. And he did a great job. And he explained it in great detail and also calmed people down. Because an earthquake in New York, you can never predict. We don't know what's happening with the plates under the earth. We don't know. We really don't. But nobody's ever died that I can think of in an earthquake in New York. We almost had a death once. So the minute I heard about it, I was kind of okay with it. We were driving here, but then when I heard it was 4.8, I said, "Wow, that's a big earthquake." And I am shocked that it didn't do more physical, not only damage to property, but I don't think anybody died. I don't think anybody was seriously injured. I don't think. But it's not weird, and it happens all the time. And usually those earthquakes are 1.8, 2.2. you get a little of this, and that's it, you know? So thank God we got through it. And also realized, honestly, as Republicans have been telling you, and as intelligent conservatives have been telling you from the beginning of the Republic, you don't really need the government because they don't know what the hell they're doing. Yeah, Curtis Sliwa, who's not in the government, knew a hell of a lot more about earthquakes than anybody Adams has working for him. They were going like, earthquake, what's an earthquake? We don't get them in there. They took an hour to an hour and a half to get on. If we had a real earthquake, the whole city would have been dead. Thank God we didn't. 14 states were affected. It began at 10:23 in the morning, Eastern time. The center point was Lebanon, New Jersey, which is 45 minutes from New York and 50 minutes from Philadelphia, very centrally located. I said it hit 42 states, went went all the way up to, went all the, 42 minutes, right. It went from Maine to, it went from North Carolina to Maine into Canada. 142,000 people felt it, and a potential, gosh almighty, it could have been like 14 million, 15 million people. There were 3 aftershocks, and one of them was at Bedminster, New York. Do you know, New Jersey? You know what Bedminster, New Jersey is? Donald Trump's golf course. No damage.
Zero damage.
What?
Zero damage, yeah.
Yeah.
It's built nice and strong foundation.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The best foundation.
Then they're not allowed to say that. We'll be taken off the air if we say he had a strong foundation.
Yeah.
And
a lot of money too, by the way.
And the flights were canceled for a while. They've all been resumed. And just from a proud Yankee fan, while it was going on, a young man named Gleyber Torres, who plays second, short, and third for the Yankees, just continued his batting practice.
Really?
Just looked like must have looked like a tough curveball, but it only goes on for a minute or two. So there he is, standing at the plate. Bam, bam. Gleyber, I like you. Okay. Biden just doesn't tell lies. He says things that are detrimental long term to the national security interests of the United States. So here's one in the last 2 days. I mean, one of these is enough to take him, grab him by the back of his neck, take the 25th Amendment, stick it down his throat, and throw him out of the White House, along with stepmother in chief, the number one coke smoker and pervert, and whoever the hell else they have in their family, which doesn't get much better. And maybe somebody should say something nice about that poor kid that they're trying to destroy because they're evil. So Biden, remember, just a few weeks, months ago, was saying that if the Republicans gave him a bill that gave him the power to close the border, he would do so. But he needed control of the Border Patrol. And you might remember that we came on the air several times and said, no, worship. He has control of the Border Patrol. What kind of stupid thing is he saying to you? Nobody else does. It's an executive agency under the Constitution of the United States. He owns it. He's in charge of it. He can tell them to do anything he wants them to do. Okay, so he's just lying when he says that. If you give me control of the Border Patrol, I'll cut off. I'll close down the border. So you have to pass the bill. Then he made his State of the Union pathetic speech where he was yelling and screaming, Republicans should support. If you don't support, yesterday, one of his lackeys said, "Oh, because the liberals are not going there, left wing." The president never supported. President wouldn't close the border. He was always been in favor of an open border. Thank you. That's the truth. That's why we have 8 million to probably 12 million uh, disproportionately criminal people in this country. Don't get angry at me because you can't prove I'm wrong. You can't prove I'm wrong because you haven't vetted them. Even the ones you vetted, you didn't vet. How about 4 questions to the Chinese? Are you Chinese? Yes. You come to the United States? Yes. You want to get a job? Yes. Are you a member of the Chinese Communist Party? Absolutely not. Maybe a fifth. Are you going to spy? Absolutely not. Just show me the way to the Pentagon. Would you mind sending me on a plane and paying for it right directly to the Pentagon? And they're all dressed up. I mean, all the rest of them look like a bunch of bums that are coming in, right, Dr. Maria? They look like one bum after another. They're all about anywhere from 18 to 25. They look like they're ready to loot, steal, cheat, and rape. And then you got the Chinese coming with the ties on.
Get on a marine base.
The suits. The suit.
They try to get on.
Biden did away with the task force to root them out. I mean, look, let's face it, we have to be somewhat sympathetic. If you got $21 million, which is the minimum that you got from the red Chinese, who knows what you might sell out your country too. Would you? I hope not. And I tell you what, if you answer that question, yes, get the hell off my show. All right. Go watch Rachel Madcow. She's anti-American, supports theories that would destroy our country. Watch it. I mean, I can't help you. You're brainwashed and you're sick. I mean, the reality is, if you can't figure out this man is owned by the Chinese, you're too stupid to really participate. I mean, first couple of months in office, he gave up an airbase 400 miles from China, of one of our best. Why would you do that if you weren't paid off? All this man has ever been interested in is money and trying to prove to you that he's semi-intelligent because he's got a big chip on his shoulder because he's so damn dumb. I mean, I know him. This is the guy who, at 12 years old, he was the dumbest guy in class. He's the guy who's left back in the 3rd grade. Everybody knew that. He's the guy that cheated his way through law school. Major cheating, not just 2 plagiarisms. That's what he got caught for. Guy's been cheating all his life. Except we never knew the honestly, I never thought he was smart enough to make this kind of money. I always thought he was like one of the dumbest people I knew. Be a little crooked, but not, I mean, they all are, not much more than the rest. Had no idea that taking in millions from the Chinese, the Ukrainians, the Russians. God, he could have picked some of our, well, Ukraine, I guess, but the other 2 enemies? I was taking money like from England or something, or it's got to take it from our enemies. And we don't do anything about it because what's happened to us? We've been neutered as a group of people. We can't stand up for ourselves anymore because the press tells us this is okay. It's okay to take $21 million from Red China, and you stupid Americans just go, yeah, it's okay. What's the difference? So that's lie number 1. Okay. Lie number 1 is I was going to close down the border. He said that for a month and a half to try to sucker Republicans into passing that bill, which would have led to more illegal coming in. Now the bill's over, so we can go back to satisfying the left wing who's going to vote for him, which means we're not going to stop anybody on the border. You can all come in, and we're working real hard to try to get you to vote, legally or illegally. In New York, they actually have a bill, a law that allows non-citizens to vote, even though the state constitution sets out the qualifications for a voter. Do you know what one of them is? Citizenship. And they got 1 judge out of 4 to vote for that. I don't even know which judge it is. All I can tell you is I would take him or her and I'd put them in a remedial law school or something. The Constitution of New York says that one of the qualifications to vote, you have to be a citizen. New York City has decided it can violate the state constitution and allow non-citizens to vote. You get that? Well, of course, this is the same place, the Bar Association, that has suspended me from the practice of law because I'm dangerous. I'm very dangerous. The people who kill, rape, beat the living daylights out of people, throw them on subways, and just for any reason at all punch women in the head, they're okay because Bragg lets them out all the time. But I'm dangerous. Have to end the two-tier system, because a two-tier system is not a system of justice. You have to have equal standards, equal rights for everybody. You know that. They don't. The other lie, which maybe is worse. So he called Netanyahu yesterday, and like he does all the time, he was bragging. He was bragging. He said, "I'm going to call, if it's leaking it out, I'm going to call Netanyahu, and I'm going to have a come to Jesus meeting with him." I don't know. It's a little stupid to have a come to Jesus meeting with a Jewish guy, right? I don't know if that has the same impact, but he's too stupid to have figured that out. That's how dumb this guy is. I'm going to come to Jesus meeting with a Jewish guy. That's, well, except maybe Bibi remembers that Jesus was very partial to the Jews because he died a Jew. But in any event, if you're gonna have a, I'm gonna let that guy Bibi know. Me, tough Biden. I'm tough guy. If you look at the readout of the conversation, he was like, it wasn't as bad as with Z, where he kind of laid down on the floor begging for Z to say something nice to him. Z, he said, we're going to have very, very cordial relationships, particularly about trade. It'll be very, very useful. And Z said, no, the United States has been extraordinarily hostile, and I think it could lead to hostile results. And then he said, I really am for the independence of Taiwan, because he's been on both sides of that, right? He said he was going to attack them if they went after Taiwan. Then Stinking Blinken and all those other idiots got all nervous, and they said, oh, he doesn't really mean that. So now he was like begging, telling them, I understand that there's only one China and that Taiwan belongs to China. And Z said, well, Z didn't say, well, thank you for that. He said, well, that's a red line. Imagine if he said that to Ronald Reagan or to Donald. There'd be two different reactions between Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. I worked for Ronald Reagan. So Gorbachev tried that once. You know what he would have done? He just said, well, thank you, hang up the phone. And then the next thing you'd find out is he had just moved 200 airplanes much closer to China. Well, of course, he would not have given up the Bagram Air Base because he's not a traitor. Trump would have said, what's the weather like right now in Beijing? Oh, by the way, where are you? Z, my friend, where are you? Oh, actually, I'm in Shanghai right now. Oh, okay. Move them to Shanghai, guys. Yeah. Move the missiles. Point them to Shanghai. You sure you're in Shanghai? You're not going to go anywhere today, right? I got something for you. Is he a man? Is Biden a man? What is he? He's a corrupt, disloyal, traitorous. And we got stuck with him because they covered up the hard drive. And I'm going to make another point. See the poll yesterday? What states is Trump winning in? Every state they cheated in. So he was ahead in Georgia by 3 points before they stopped the counting and then found extra paper ballots. He was ahead by two and a half points in Michigan before they stopped counting and found extra paper ballots, and a big truck came in with them. He was ahead in Wisconsin by 3%. All of a sudden, these votes came in from nursing homes with people who now say they didn't know they were voting, and even a very distinguished judge who they have ruined says these were phony votes, and he lost by a few votes. I'm missing one. Pennsylvania, he was ahead by 750,000 votes.
Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, I'd argue Nevada.
Well, Nevada will take out of it, but he's ahead in all of those now. Wisconsin, he's tied.
I mean, Clark County, Jesus.
So when I look at the results, take Wisconsin out for a minute, that's about where I think the last election was. So when we come back from break, I'll see if I can get myself thrown off a few of the social media networks by telling you that the last election was fixed. We damn well better not let this one get fixed. Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
And we're back.
Well, it's very, very nice to be back with you again on Rudy. This is America's Mayor Live. And it is very disappointing to see us double cross virtually our best friend. Ronald Reagan used to say that our relationship with Israel should not be based on partisan American politics, because partisan American politics is very fluid and very ephemeral. It should be based on the following. In life, you have very few good friends. Nations, same thing. So I don't know, would you like to name our good friends? Doesn't Israel right at the top, right? Number one. He used to say that. He used to say, there are things Israel will do for us, nobody else will do. Therefore, there are things I'll do for Israel, nobody else would do. That's what you have to do if you want to keep a friend and you want to develop. Now, this guy is throwing him down the sewer. He's trying to destroy, first of all, he's trying to destroy Netanyahu by getting involved in their internal politics and saying there should be an election now and Bibi should be out. Isn't that what they accused Trump of with Russian collusion that was paid for by Hillary Clinton? Why isn't Biden under investigation for that, for interfering in a foreign election? Because he's in the golden circle of protected Democrats that can do anything they want. I mean, so far they've been able to do everything they want, including treason. There's only one thing they haven't been able to do that I know of, which is murder. But every other crime they've been able to get away with. And Hunter, it's just a disgrace. If you think we have system of justice in this country, you're fooling yourself. So right now, according to his original statements, he was going to call Bibi and tell him, I want a ceasefire right now. And then you worry about the hostages. You might remember that up until now, he has always said the hostages should be released before we have a ceasefire. There's a good reason for that, because you can't trust terrorists, right? You got to, maybe you should at least, if he had like half a brain in his head, which is now gone because of the dementia, he might say something like, give me half of them. Show me your good faith before I show you my good faith. He's not capable of that. He's not capable of that. Trump is very capable of that. That's why Trump says things like, if they don't pay, I won't defend them. You don't know if he means that or not. You do that if you know how to negotiate. That's why I was able to change New York City. I know how to negotiate. I'm not a jackass, and I'm not a silly, sissy liberal. You can't protect people if you're a silly, sissy liberal. Look at all the silly, sissy liberals that are trying to protect American cities, and people are dying left and right. You got to be a strong person, and you got to understand the art of negotiating. They got to be more frightened of you than you are of them. If they're not, go find another job, and please don't put me, my family, and my loved ones in jeopardy by being my president. So this is pathetic. Israel is on the verge of at least destroying Hamas in Gaza. Now, they'll never be able to destroy Hamas because Biden supports them with money. I think we probably have supplied the most money to the Palestinian Authority and therefore to Hamas in several ways, directly through these humanitarian efforts that we get so upset about. Almost all of them are bringing stuff in for Hamas. I don't know about the last one, maybe not, but it's ridiculous to get all upset about that. So the Prime Minister of England, Ted, help me with his name. I always get Rami Wushkababa. What's his name? Ramishi
Sunak.
Sunak.
Let me get the right.
But what's the first name? Ramishi.
Yeah, let me get that for you.
Ramishi Sunsun.
They've had a bunch of prime ministers in the last few years.
This guy's a real star.
Rishi Sunak.
Rishi Sunak is appalled. Poor little Rishi is appalled.
He's appalled by them.
Dr. Maria, do they have medicines for being appalled? Maybe like a punch in the mouth would work it out. He's appalled at what Israel did. They actually bombed civilians. Take a look at what they did to Germany. They bombed a couple of civilians. They knocked out entire cities, cathedrals, museums, little babies, women. Okay, all right. And why did England do that? Because Germany did it to them. And people tried to talk Churchill out of it, and Churchill said, go to hell. Because Churchill was one of the great leaders of the 20th century who saved his country from almost sure annihilation because he had a pair of balls. If it wasn't for him, Roosevelt would have given in to the communists. Like hell, I'm going to let them live. They came, they terrorized my people. I've got hundreds of thousands of English lives lost. They'll never be able to have a life because of these animals. And you think I'm going to let them just sit there and not do the same thing to them? This will teach them never to do it again. And it's worse. Bibi's got a better reason for doing it. They are swearing to kill the Jewish people. Each one of them is trained from the day they get their hands on them. And this is true in Gaza and in the West Bank, where we have Fatah, which somehow these morons think is a decent organization. Fatah is just a cheap mafia. They've been stealing money for 30 years. They don't do anything for their people. And right now, a majority of Fatah supported terrorizing the Jewish people and killing their babies. And we are their biggest financier, the United States of America. We're paying for it. I don't know how he gets away with saying, oh, after all this, after he says they should stop the war, right when they've got him cornered to at least end Hamas in Gaza. Now, Hamas will be back. Biden has already succeeded in making it impossible for the Israelis to eliminate Gaza because he's got them sitting in Qatar with billions of dollars, the people who run it. And we're protecting them because we're really, I figured out a long time ago because a very wise Israeli told me this. I said, it must be very difficult with Obama and have an American president who has, you don't know what side he's on. He said, I know what side he's on. He's on the Islamic side. And I've been watching that since then, and that has really turned out to be 100% correct. It's also true of Biden. Why Biden is on the side of Islamic terrorists and gives billions to Iran, which is the biggest terrorist nation in the world. I don't know, God's going to have to figure that out with him. And the other guy, Prince Obama, was giving him cash, for which he should be in jail for the rest of his life. You don't give cash to terrorists and get away with it. Oh, yes, you do. If you're a prince. Saturday Night Live can't make fun of you. You're a prince. It's Prince Obama. You think it's all coming out? You think the American people are finally getting it and they're not going to be cheated or fooled again? I think so. Wish I was sure. But that's why I do this show every night. So I get the information. So I get the information out. So we get it out. We get people to see it. I mean, look at the crime wave that he's creating with these illegal aliens. And he's got I don't know, you're not allowed to say illegal. So poor Laken Riley gets killed. The guy who kills her he is an animal. Yes, President Trump, that was mild. You kill a young woman like that, you do all the things he was doing with Trans-Aragua, you're an animal. You're not a real human being. And President Biden was the one who said that. Yeah, President Biden said that you shouldn't refer to them as illegal. They're migrants. They're migrants who came in here illegally, who commit multiple crimes. That guy committed 3 crimes, all of which should have had him in jail. 1 in New York and 2 in Athens, Georgia. And since they set him free, he was available to kill Laken Riley, who Biden can't even get a name right. He calls her Lincoln. But so very simple. If we had a real president, if we had some real laws, if we had Trump in office, Laken Riley would have a full life. Biden has snuffed it. Same thing with Detective Diller. That guy, well, he's a detective now. He was an officer. He was promoted posthumously to detective. Detective Diller, that guy, about 40 states, Jonathan Diller would be alive today. Because under the law of 40 states, he'd have been in jail. Except we have a bunch of communist, criminal-loving, I don't know what they are, starting with Andrew Cuomo, who passed the law that did away with what I had eventually gotten for New York, which is something equivalent to we call it the career criminal bill. 3 strikes, you're out. Well, that lasted until the communists came in, and they did away with it. And when I sit down with Bernie, my police commissioner, We figured there are about 7,000 to 9,000 people walking the streets and to be in jail if I were the mayor or Bloomberg. You want to know why there's a lot of crime in New York? Now add to that 7,000 to 9,000 they let out, including 37 people who murdered police officers in 5 years since 5 years, yeah, 5 years since 2019, because of Andrew Cuomo and Hochul Pochul, who doesn't do anything because she's too afraid. We've let out 37 cop killers from jail who were given the death penalty on the theory of Mario Cuomo, which is, life imprisonment is much worse than the death penalty. Now, how is it, Mario, that they spend millions trying to avoid being killed and stay on death row, fighting like hell to get one more day of life? What is that? You're too smart for that. What kind of sellout is that? Of course, the death penalty is a much bigger deterrent. First of all, I learned that when I was a kid and ran the Bureau of Prisons, and a lifer killed a guard with 3 children. And I had to go to the religious service the day after Christmas. You know the guy's reason for killing the guard? He was serving 2 life sentences. He was getting bored. If he killed the guard, he could get out for a couple of weeks and go on trial. I said, you got to kill these people. You got to get rid of them because they continue to be a danger. And then we have these silly, ridiculous communist liberals, 37 cop killers in 5 years released to the streets when you promised us they'd be in jail for the rest of their lives in lieu of the death penalty. How about we bring the death penalty back? And as Donald Trump said, a quick, sure execution of a couple of these people, they'll stop shooting cops. And you have to do that. You have got to support the forces of order, the forces of law, the forces of civilization. These people are uncivilized, yes, uncivilized animals. We'll be back very shortly.
The new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
And we're back.
So let's buy some from Mike this weekend, okay? Mike's a really good guy. He's on our side. A lot of the money he makes comes right to our causes. And just mypillows.com/Rudy. Same thing with Balance of Nature. Balance of Nature is terrific for you. I just was talking to someone that uses it for their children. So 35% off fruit.
Oh, yeah.
Vegetable. Everything that you need, then have as much more as you want. And you will get 35% off if you use code Rudy. That's balanceofnature.com, code Rudy.
Yeah. And support, and you're supporting not just your body and your mind, but you're supporting everything the mayor is doing here on America's Mayor Live. So be sure to get out there, buy that Balance of Nature and share with others. Talk to a few of your friends and let them know about all the positive benefits of using Balance of Nature and using that promo code Rudy.
So there's a lot of discussion right now that Iran might attack Israel. Tough one. We've done actually a special on this about 3 weeks ago. It's a tough decision that each one of these these homicidal dictators have to make, and that is, should they take advantage of the traitor, coward, nitwit that we have in the White House and attack now, and therefore be pretty secure that nothing will happen to them? Or should they wait until they're in a better position to do it, just in case he retaliates? Because right now, Iran, they're on the beginning of having nuclear weapons. Here's what that means. If we had a man or a woman, like a real human being as a president, that loved this country in an appropriate way and understood how to protect it, Iran wouldn't go near us. Iran's not ready to take on the United States. Not even close. Not even close. If they knew that, like Ronald Reagan, who put the intermediate level ballistic missiles in several European cities and pointed them at specific Russian cities, like Leningrad. Here's the missile for Leningrad. Screw around with me, we take out Leningrad. If they knew we had a president that had the moral courage to defend his people, and after all the Americans the Iranians have killed and tortured, they wouldn't even think about it. But they're making a very tough calculation. We're not quite ready yet. We're on the cusp of being nuclear. We need about 3-4 years to match these animals, us, the big Satan. But on the other hand, we got a president might not do anything. Maybe we could take on Israel and he wouldn't go to war for Israel. Very, very tempting thing. I don't think they will. I don't think they will, because I think they calculate it's an election year. And if they did an all-out attack on Israel and he didn't do anything, his disapproval rating would go from 39 to 2. And that's all he cares about. Right? That's why he's double-crossing Israel, because he's worried about the Islamic vote in Michigan and Minnesota, which, Ted, amounts to how much?
3% in Michigan, and even less in some of these other states,
3%.
like 2.5%.
That means that also means they all vote.
And if they all vote,
It also means they're all well, I don't know. Did they let non-citizens vote in Michigan? Not all these people are citizens. I mean, they came into the United States from Lebanon and who knows where. Hey, not all of them became citizens.
We all talked about.
Oh, in Michigan, they'll let them.
The cheating, right? We all talked about it. Every Republican.
Dearborn, Michigan. 20. Yeah, there's no scrutiny.
Oh,
Dearborn, Michigan.
Questions there.
I'm sorry. Don't let me get you all upset because I'm a conspiracy theorist. That's okay. They suspended my law license and everything else because I'm a conspiracy theorist. I might as well get the benefit of it.
Just anyone Google it. Google Detroit vote audit, and you'll just see so many stories in the past 20 years. Like there's stuff I haven't.
No, Philadelphia's better though. See, Philadelphia cheats in elections they don't have to cheat in to keep current.
Yeah.
With the new cheating methods.
So the joke in Michigan,
like when they said it's ridiculous, it's terrible that you're saying they're voting in Philadelphia. I had no idea it was for 20 years, 30 years we've been making jokes about their voting, their cheating in Philadelphia.
Everyone,
I've actually seen the damn trucks that come in from Camden with Jay Walter.
Well, in Michigan, the joke is, the vote, the Detroit, the vote keeps coming in until the Democrat wins statewide, right? The votes. Detroit's the last one to report for vote total in the middle of the night. It's crazy.
Doesn't it work on your head this way? Every place they cheated, right, is a Democrat corrupt city.
Atlanta, Philadelphia,
Detroit. Look at Fannie Ho. She takes, just to give you an idea of the level of corruption and lack of ethics in Fulton County. She said under oath, I took money from my campaign fund and used it to pay off my lover boy. The judge sat there as if, oh, it's okay. I work for her. My wife gave money to her. He doesn't understand that he should take himself off the case, the unethical son of a bitch. And then he makes a decision that's completely absurd. He says there's a conflict, but one of them has to get off the case. Hey, Judge, the conflict involves both of them. By its very nature, they were having an affair. Of course, it involves both of them. If one of them has to get off, both of them have to get off. How do you solve the conflict? And you let the guy who isn't the public servant get off, as if the public servant isn't more culpable? I'm supposed to respect the guy.
Sure.
I may go to trial in front of him. I'm a real lawyer. I never sold out to anybody, political party, anybody. You ask me to do that, I tell you to go to hell. And I can look at myself in the mirror. That guy doesn't even have a mirror. Wow. How can he sit there and hear her say, I took money from my campaign funds when I clerked for a federal judge? I think he might have taken you at that point, just put you in jail, then have a trial.
The NATO thing.
It's NATO's 75th anniversary,
Pay up.
and they're all upset because Trump said to one of the NATO countries, theoretically, and he may be embellishing a little. I told them, they said, well, what if we don't pay? Will you defend us? He said, I won't defend you. I'll tell them to attack you more. I got the money too, within 2 days. Don't you get it? It's a different version of when we said to him, how is it that Putin never attacked? You're the only president of the last 4 who Putin didn't attack under. He looked at Bush and he said, squishy wishy, Karl Rove will be too scared to do anything, and he'll convince Bush not to do anything. Let me take Georgia. Take advantage of Bush. He's a little weakling. Then he takes a look at Obama and he says, I'm a KGB murderer, and he's a silly communist activist. Yeah, I'll take 15% of Georgia. Then he sees Biden, and this is like winning the lottery. It's like winning the lottery. But he waits because Putin is evil. But as Trump says, he's smart. Our guy's evil but dumb. This guy's evil but smart. So he watches him in Afghanistan. He gets all kinds of Americans killed. He gets all our allies in Afghanistan eliminated because he takes the soldiers out before the civilians. I mean, 15-year-olds would know not to do that from watching war movies. He leaves $85 million behind in armaments that makes the Taliban one of the biggest arms merchants in the world. I guarantee you they're using that right now to kill our people. And then he gives up the Bagram Air Base. When Putin saw that, I can guarantee you, he said, I can push this guy all around the world. So what has Biden done for Ukraine? He's given them enough money so that Putin can't take all of Ukraine, but he can't move them either. He's got his 20%, maybe 22. He's got his land bridge to Crimea, which is what he wants to start with. And he's got one hell of a foothold in Ukraine. Now, there's one time he didn't attack, and there was a guy named Donald Trump there. You know he wouldn't have attacked. So don't you realize what you've done by voting for Biden? Or how would we put it another way? If you hadn't voted for Biden and you hadn't been defrauded, cheated, all those people would be alive today. That's hundreds of thousands of people in Ukraine and in Russia that would have full lives if we had elected a reasonable, tough man who puts America first and not whatever the hell this piece of garbage is. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
We'll do another.
The new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
We'll bring him up.
You back?
Welcome back. We have some guests here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, yeah.
It's not.
It's five.
So I haven't seen this yet, but I was listening to my good friend Greg Kelly today, and Greg was saying that Biden looked like he was on drugs walking around Baltimore. Now I know I wanted to call Greg and tell him why. He got confused, the poor guy. Remember when the bridge came down, Biden said the next day, and he looked like he was drunk when he said it. He said, I know that bridge very well. I went over that bridge thousands of times by train or by car. And it's a shame that it's gone. Now, as usual, like when he said, I saw Franklin Roosevelt reading the comics on television. There was no television until 3 years after Franklin Roosevelt died, which means we missed it. But like the Democrats who were dead, Franklin Roosevelt must have come back to read the newspapers. Well, there are no trains that go over that bridge. Never has been.
So there he is, Mayor. There's the president looking at some monitors. It looks like
he's probably he's looking for his train, and he doesn't see it. What happened to his train and the track? Joe, what happened to the tracks, Joe?
You think he knows what he's looking at there?
Not a chance in the world.
You got big pictures.
I'm not even sure he knows where he is.
Pictures of boats, just to
look at him. He just put his hand in his pocket. I wonder what he's doing with that. Oh, he took something out. That must be the smelling salts to keep him awake.
So they had him look. They had it there, and they obviously wanted to show him in front of this presentation to show that he's an active president that's engaged.
What happened when
he can't read that chart?
Read. He was back in the 3rd grade. He probably couldn't read in the 3rd grade.
Yeah, he is overwhelmed. He has no idea what he's looking at.
That little thing there confuses him. He looks at that thing, it gets him all nervous.
He's like, I got a guy.
But he's looking for his train that he rode for 30 years that was never there.
Look what they're showing him. History of the Port of Baltimore. They got like 2 paragraphs. Quite something. Big pictures for him, right?
Yeah.
Ongoing salvage operation. Big pictures of the salvage operation.
He hasn't moved his senile head once.
He has He's told to just look. He's like, don't look that way. Don't look that way.
You got to know what's going on in his head. Where's the train?
And this guy's sitting here. He has to explain all this to him. I feel bad for him. He said this guy has no idea what he's listening to.
And they told him he had to go there because there are Democrat votes there, particularly black Democrat votes. And he has to suck up for those because they're all angry at him because it hasn't done anything for them.
So he was there for quite some time, and they had him kind of move from. But notice how they made this whole thing. They made it all public, right? They want everyone to see how engaged this guy is.
He doesn't look engaged. He was totally confused.
But there's a reason this was public.
This could be a program at like the Happy Valley Nursing Home.
So they got him going through here, all these charts, all these videos.
This guy's got to be kidding himself that this guy's going to retain all that. He just saluted the guy. Yeah, okay. Joe, go to sleep. Did you notice the other day, 2 days ago, we figured out when he starts working because he ends at 4. He showed up for his first meeting at noon, and he had marks on his face from his CPAP machine. CPAP machine, yeah. He had marks on his face from his CPAP machine because he has sleep apnea, and he has to put this big machine on his face in order to sleep. I don't know what he does to think, but there is no machine for thinking. There is one for sleep. So he couldn't have been off very long to have the marks on the face. My father-in-law had one of those. It seemed to me it took about 15, 20 minutes. And this guy puts makeup on. So I probably got up around 11:30. He leaves at 4. And 2/3 of the time he's on vacation. Maybe that's good. What do you think, Ted? That might be good. But then somebody's making. Okay.
Look, these
If he's never there, if he sleeps until 11, leaves at 4, and he goes on vacation, who is the Wizard of Oz?
well, whoever it is,
Because there's somebody behind a curtain in the White House who says, screw Israel. We need the Islamic votes in Michigan. Screw Israel. The Jews will vote for you anyway.
yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Well, whoever's in charge, they'd love nothing more than a president who isn't mentally there, right? What's better for those that are actually pulling the strings than a president who's mentally
Didn't Obama say that
incapacitated?
once? That he really would prefer not being president, but being behind the scenes and calling all the shots?
Well, and now is the chance to do that. You have a president who's he can't even think straight. So for the powers that be, they benefit more from some
the border open, let all the criminals in, so we become a communist country.
That's right. It's quite bizarre, but Trump is leading.
Mr. Wizard, when did you learn that? When I was 20, going to Columbia and was trained by communists.
Great. Well, Mayor, of course, now we're getting near the end here of a very
Mr.
busy week
Wizard,
in the news.
should I give money to Iran? You're damn right you should give money to Iran. They're killing Americans, and I gave them cash. And I didn't go to jail. What do you think?
Look,
You think that's the guy calling a shot? You think it's Obama calling?
As we get closer and closer to the election, look, they're going to trot out Obama more and more. You're going to see more of him between now and the election.
That fundraiser was great. Trump is
Visiting the family.
Condolences to that wonderful family.
Yeah.
Who lost
Officer.
patrolman, now Detective Diller, and he never had to be lost if we didn't have the laws in our communist Democrat state, like in most other states, he'd be alive. And this guy is having, and I'm looking at the paper, the newspaper. On one side, I see Epstein's best friend, 27 times on the plane.
Bill.
Epstein, well, I'm not going to say who it was just Epstein's best. But 27 times on a guy's private plane, and you can't figure out he's a serial pedophile who sells kids for a living. Then you're pretty stupid, and Bill's not stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bill's on that plane 27 times, more than just about anybody. Love the guy. Yeah, you see the picture of him?
Yeah.
Of Bill, dressed up like a woman or whatever.
Yeah. Crazy.
In his best friend. So he's got, vote for me because Epstein's best friend supports me. The whole pedophile community is behind me. Now, on the other side is the guy who gave a couple $100 million to terrorists to kill Americans and Jews. 100 crazy. So we were secretly transferring money to Iran when we shouldn't. That's bad enough. So when they came to Obama and said to him, hey, brother, or comrade, or whatever they call each other, you want a couple $100 million. We're talking about grand, a couple $100 million in cash. You don't think now Obama's not him. Obama has a brain. You don't think Obama figured out they're terrorists? Why would they want it in cash? So here's what happens if you have like an IQ of 95. You say to yourself, they want cash. No other country asked me for cash. I wonder why they want cash. Oh, people say on television They support terrorists. Terrorists like cash. I think maybe they're asking me to give them money for terrorists. And he did it. Time to go to prison for the rest of your life when you do that.
That's right. That's right, Mayor. So,
And they get away with it because they have completely corrupted our country, which we have to change.
they've completely taken it over. You know, we've said for many years we got to fight to preserve our country and the values that made
right
this
now
country
we're
great.
winning.
We've lost it. They're winning.
No, we're winning right now. If you trust the polls, we're winning.
Oh, yes, we're winning the polls, but they have control of government right now.
And I know
we're
those-
fighting to take it back.
I know those polls are right. Every one of those states are states in which they cheated. And why is it a surprise he's ahead? Did you ever think he might have won those states?
Yeah,
By about those margins?
So wow,
They're pretty damn close.
yeah.
It's all the states in which they cheated, and he's ahead.
And all we got to do is fix the situation. Georgia, Arizona, and then one of the
Melania
following
Trump
three.
is going to join the campaign. He's going to give an event about 2 weeks at Mar-a-Lago
Oh, great.
for the log cabin Republicans,
Oh. Okay.
LGBTQ community.
Okay.
Look, people are gay, lesbian, whatever they are. They like to earn a living. They like to have a good job. They like to have a decent school for their kids or themselves. And I'll tell you what, they like to not be at war. So Trump turned over to Biden a world at peace. Biden will turn over a world not only at war, but at war in which the major nuclear superpowers are all engaged, and a single little mistake could make us a much bigger war. I don't think Iran is going to attack Israel like they're predicting, right? But suppose they do. Suppose they make a major invasion of Israel. I don't think they'd ever do a land invasion because their army couldn't possibly match Israel's. They fought Iraq. They fought Iraq for 7 years to a draw. We defeated Iraq in 4 months. So people got to get realistic. Russia couldn't capture Ukraine, and it's like 10 times bigger. These armies are not the American army, even reducing it somewhat for the deterioration of these sick people in Washington. It's still the best military in the world. And we can be outnumbered 3-1 and we're going to win. So Iran, I don't think Iran wants to take that risk unless they really are sure that Biden is completely on their side and they own him like China does. But if there's any risk that we're going to get involved, Iran will not attack Israel. Yeah, I do. I have to.
So of course we're
in New Hampshire.
this last few weeks, but why are we in New Hampshire?
We're in New Hampshire because a once in a lifetime opportunity presents itself, and that is on Monday. If you go 2 hours, basically 2 hours north of here, maybe three, maybe four. We're not sure yet exactly. You're going to see a total eclipse. Around here, you're not going to see another one like it until 2075,
You guys going to see the eclipse?
2078.
We're going up north. Everyone's getting all excited.
Got to get the right glasses.
Gotta get the right glasses.
Right. The Chinese, by the way, are selling phony glasses so they can blind us. I mean, they try everything. COVID, fentanyl. And now they're going to try to blind us with the phony glasses. Make sure
Get the right.
make sure the glasses are approved ISO glasses, but they probably have copy that. The one thing I am told about their phony glasses are they look like sunglasses. The glasses that you're looking for are completely black. If you can put them on and see anything, don't get them. Okay? Because you probably got the Chinese coming at you to try to take your eyes out. So we're going to go and see it. So you know what happens, right? The moon comes in front of the sun. So this is the partial eclipse, right? Now you're seeing as the moon gets closer to the sun starts to become a 3/4, then half. Things start to get darker and colder. Then all of a sudden, every so often,
There it is.
there you go. Every so often, the moon and the sun line up so that, and it also depends on how far away they are at this point, where the moon is completely covering the sun, not because it's bigger, it's smaller, because of the distance. And the sun and the lights go out. Boom. For about 2.5 to 4 minutes, depending on where you are.
Well, when we got it up on the screen, really what it is, it's a big, think of it as a big shadow, right? It's a big circular shadow moving across the United States or around the world. And at different times, right, this is what will be covered. It's quite something. And we have a map up that.
Of course, it demonstrates something that you have to, I mean, it isn't easy. You've got to visualize how these are constantly in motion. The moon, the sun, and they're all in motion all the time. And many times you get partial.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
So here it's going to come in over Texas.
And it isn't for everywhere. It happens here. Here it's going to happen, starting down in Mexico, coming through Texas, where they're going to get the biggest opportunity to see it. And then it's going to come all the way up the middle states.
Yeah, we'll fast forward.
Make a turn in Ohio and Pennsylvania toward New York.
Here it is over Cleveland, Ohio.
There you go. That's Cleveland's right across from Buffalo.
3:20 p.m. Eastern. It'll be over Buffalo, New York. And you'll be on the air. We'll be on the radio, WABC radio.
About this time, I'll be on the radio in the dark.
It's Burlington. It's going to hit Burlington, Vermont at about 3:26.
We'll probably be starting to get dark at that point.
Or is that in New Hampshire? Yeah. So it's going to hit Lancaster, just the edge of Lancaster, though. At least this according to this map. You may even want to be north of Lancaster. Yeah, Lancaster's kind of the southern edge of the shadow there.
And then it retreats. It goes into Maine.
And then into Canada.
And then into Canada. And then
Atlantic.
And then out
maybe to England
over the ocean. Where when it happens, nobody, except if anybody is fortunate enough to be in that particular part of the vast ocean, you don't get to see it, right? But it's really worth observing and therefore using as an opportunity to study so you get a sense of how the world actually operates, you know? I mean, the Russians are threatening to develop nuclear weapons in space, which is a violation of a treaty that we have, that you should not utilize nuclear weapons in space. Now, I don't know if Biden is paying any attention to that.
Yes, no.
He doesn't pay attention to anything. You think if I said that to him, he would do anything other than grunt? I mean, a president has to have a functioning mind. Otherwise, you have a lot of the people around the president are basic official troublemakers. So, and this guy's got loads of communists around him. So, but I really urge you, spend some time this weekend getting ready. Even if you're in one of the places that's going to get a 90 or 95% partial eclipse, that'll be very interesting to see, because you'll see portions of the sun cut out by the moon. It'd be very interesting to see. And for example, in Buffalo, you're going to get a complete, what they call a totality, boom. But in New York City, you're going to have about 95%. So it's really good they don't put the lights out in New York City.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah, with the 160,000 illegal aliens we had passing through New York, and 65,000 decided to make it home, this is not exactly the best place to put the lights out. Thank you. You know, a judge in New York just took 8 people who have a home across the street from a school in which they have massive amounts of drugs, including fentanyl. They've got guns. They pointed the guns at the cops that came in. The kids and the people in the neighborhood have been complaining and been too afraid to turn them in. And the judge let them all go free. And they're back exactly where they were before, after the police arrested them. Do you understand how detrimental that is to protecting your people? And this happens all the time in these left-wing cities. If you vote Democrat this time, I'm not, you're giving your country away.
Tune in Sunday, 10 a.m.
So, don't forget the final, what do we call it? The final four.
March Madness, we have the Final Four happening this weekend. And with everything going on, right, we've been hard pressed to follow it.
And then on Monday, Tuesday, do they have the championship game?
The women's Final Four starts tonight. You got UConn at Iowa.
Any men playing in that?
And you have...
How many men are playing in the women's?
Yeah, right. We'd have to check. NC State at South Carolina. It appears that South Carolina won. So in the women's bracket, it will be South Carolina playing the winner of UConn at Iowa. The men's bracket, that starts tomorrow.
Now, these are only men. Do they let women play?
Women do not play in the men's. You have
Why
NC
do
State.
you even have men and women brackets anymore?
In Alabama at UConn.
Those are just, as the judge said, who issued a ridiculous opinion. I mean, after all, they're just cisgender.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means, cisgender. They're cisgender. Is that bad? Is it bad?
All I know is you see that on someone.
Is it bad to be cisgender?
You see that in someone's emails.
Is it bad? Is that bad?
It's what I think.
Am I
considered cisgender?
I'm cisgender.
I believe so. I believe.
But I've never gone to
I
a
don't look. I see that in someone's byline, and I immediately know it's going to be a tough.
Maria.
Or she.
Maria, why don't you take me to a doctor?
You're a he him. You're a he him.
I'm a cis. You're
a heterosexual cisgender male. I think that's a good thing. I think that's what you want, though. I don't know.
I didn't know that.
All right.
Wow. What should I do? Get mutilated or something? Do you believe this? Do you really want this? Do you really want this, or does it make you think you're smarter? Actually, you're completely manipulated and dumb if you go for all this. You're like a brainwashed little pig. And I've always known the liberals were intellectually inferior. Well, that'll be for next week. Don't forget the eclipse on Monday. We'll be on, Dr. Maria and I, who's been telling me what to say for the last hour, as you can tell. We'll be on Sunday at 10 o'clock, 211, WABCradio.com, uncovering the truth. That's hard to do nowadays. You think that's easy? Wow.
And then Monday.
And then Monday, 3 o'clock, we'll be on in the dark.
Yeah.
We'll be on WABCradio.com in the dark. And it'll be wonderful because all the liberals say all my shows are done in the dark.
And then at night.
We'll be on in the light and we'll be able to say everything we need to say. Don't forget T2T.org. Now, $11 a month. Let's take care of our people that we love. And then let's take care of the people who help us. TunnelTheTowers.com/Rudy. And come on, Ted.
Balance in Nature. Be sure to get that Balance in Nature, balanceinature.com. Promo code Rudy for 35% off. And of course, MyPillow. Get some MyPillow products from our good friend Mike Lindell. Towels, slippers.
Yeah, you're going to need that stuff because you got to get some sleep.
and be sure to subscribe to us on X. All right.
God bless America.
To bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply